Hey, thanks for checking out another video. Today's mostly going to be installing some of the parts I got in the last video. So I'm going to be pulling out the old fuel line today, putting in the new one and all the new fittings, hopefully dropping the fuel pump into the tank, installing the front mount intercooler, a couple things like that. So without talking too much, let's just get into this. So if you guys remember, that fuel line came up through there. I actually have it pulled out the side here, and pretty much it's just one zip tie left, sort of keeping it connected. Ugh, love crawling under cars. We got one zip tie there. Just look how gross this line is. That's disgusting. Just drops off here where the filter would go, and picks back up here, and continues back, and goes back to the tank. So I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to cut that zip tie, pull this line out, and then I'm going to grab the other one and get the other one out. And they have it all zip tied in here, but the fuel line that I got did come with hardware. As you can see, there's a mount right here that the line went through. So I'll reuse that one. But mine also came with a bunch of these. So I'm going to try and do a better job at tightening this up. And I'm going to probably completely take off the hanger there for the fuel filter and put my own there. I'll probably keep the same lengths just to make it easy, so I can just make my lines the same length as these lines and put my fuel filter in the same location and call it the day. And yeah, so I'm going to finish pulling this out. Okay, so I managed to get the first fitting on. I have a little bit of fraying kind of hanging out here, but that's alright. It's definitely functional. Alright, so I got the first fitting on. It looks pretty good. Seems like it's on there pretty tight. I don't want to mess with it too much, but it seems like it worked. So I'm going to go ahead, and it actually worked better when I cut this without tape. So when I used the tape, it cut pretty good, and then when I'd unwrap the tape, it frayed it really bad. So I tried cutting it without the tape, and you can see the difference. This side is with tape. This side is without tape. So once I cut it like this, I just used some cutters here to clean up the edges, and that seemed to work pretty good. So I have the first part. Now I'm going to have to move up and cut like here or something instead of where I wanted to, because I actually had to cut back a little bit further. But I think that's going to work. I also got the fitting. I don't know if you can see it over there. I got the fitting on the fuel pump right there. And we should be ready to go. So as long as it goes that smooth for the rest of the fittings, I should be able to knock this out kind of quick. For anyone that hasn't used AN fittings before, this is my first time ever dealing with this. Just figured I'd walk you through it really quick in case you're trying to figure out how to do this. So I got these $20 bolt cutters or cable cutters from Harbor Freight, and they seem to be working pretty well. Not using the tape method. Obviously, using the tape method, it's fraying it. Not using it is working pretty good. And then I'm using my cutters to cut and clean up the end. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting it straight down as quick as I can. I feel like the faster you cut it, the cleaner the cut comes out. Once you cut it, you're going to have to ram this thing onto the hose. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay, so I just made a cut, and as you can see, it did fray out a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to mess this up. So I'm just going to trim off any of these little stragglers that I can. This part requires a lot of pressure because you want to make sure it's in the whole way. Once you have that cut and cleaned up, you're going to want to slide that fitting down over it. And if you can see down in there, you can kind of see where the rubber starts right after the threads. It can't go up any further, and you can see the hole for the line. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your next fitting, and you're going to run this down. And this is where it's going to get tricky, because what's going to happen, you got to thread this down, and this is going to expand the hose and pinch the hose essentially in between this piece here and this fitting here. And what I'm doing, at least, is I'm taking some heavy duty pliers here, and I'm putting them, vice grips, and I'm putting them over the fitting. Then I'm taking my adjustable wrench, and I'm just screwing this down with my adjustable wrench while holding the fitting still with this. So just be careful the first couple cranks that it doesn't try and walk itself off, and then it should be pretty smooth sailing after that. The line's going to try and twist itself a lot. Just let it do its thing, and once it's down the whole way, you're good to roll. So I'm going to put this fitting on, and that'll be the pump to the filter, and then this will be the filter to the fuel rail. So once I put this fitting on, I'll put that fitting on. Then we only have one more cut to make and one more fitting to put on, and we should be good to go. Also note that the lines are different. So this is a stainless steel line. This is going to be a little more durable, but I opted to get the nylon stainless reinforced line. So you can just see that doesn't have any give to it at all. It just stays put. This is so much more flexible, and to me, I think it makes more sense to have a more flexible line. Like if I put my foot here, I can bend this thing all around like this, and it works great. If I put my foot on this, I can't. It's really stiff. So that's just to give you an idea of your options there if you end up ordering a kit like this. Alright, so both lines are cut to fit. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put my fuel pump back in the assembly, drop that into the tank, tighten down that fitting, and then I will run the fuel line, tighten the fuel line down, and get that all ready to go. Alright guys, the fuel line has been replaced. It's a little bit longer than I'm going to need it, but I'd rather have it a little bit longer than too short. Worst case scenario, I can cut it and trim it a little bit. Best case scenario, I'll just make it tuck down in or something, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Show you how I routed it. Brought it down through there, came around, connected there, brought down over here, connected there, and then it tucks into the drive shaft tunnel. Goes back here, keeps going, goes to the filter, stays in the drive shaft tunnel the rest of the way back, tucks up underneath, and goes to the fuel tank. So should be good to go whenever everything's here. But I did just order, I decided not to run that pump. I really just don't want to do it, so I ordered a Walbro 255 and a fuel pressure regulator. So once that comes, I'll throw the 255 in, put some sealant on all the lines, tighten them down, and then connect everything else. And the motor, I put the fitting on here for the fuel line, and then I'm going to put another fitting on this side for the fuel rail. So hopefully the fitting for this side is angled up or something, because I don't know how that's going to work as far as the fuel fitting for that. But either way, once it shows up, I'll figure that out, get that on there. And that should be it for the fuel system for now. I'm going to keep the stock injectors for now and just roll with it, but maybe I'll upgrade them down the road. Honestly, I'm going to probably keep the fuel pressure stock because I'm not planning on running any extra boost or anything. So what I'll do is I'll just keep the fuel pressure regulator at stock pressure. The reason that I'm not doing the fuel pump, or the reason I'm not doing higher pressure, is I just kind of went down a rat hole. Like, obviously, I think this is like 8 AN fitting. Maybe, I think, 8 AN. And that's 6. So I actually went down 2 sizes, but the stock line is only 3. So essentially I'm doubling the size of the fuel line. Ergo, the fuel pump might not be able to keep up with the diameter of the fuel line and lose pressure. And I don't want to be losing fuel pressure on a stock setup, a built setup, anything. So also, I got the front mount intercooler mounted about where I want it. Everything looks good. Test fit the bumper a couple times to make sure it's where I want it. So now I just have to trim the bumper to fit the intercooler where I want it, and then tighten everything down real good and throw the piping on. So I don't know, just a couple things. We're moving along here pretty good, and yeah, that's all I can ask for. We're making progress. So that's gonna be it for today's video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.